Brenda Irving back with Olympic champion Kyle Schufeld, and the Japanese men just won their first world team title in nearly 40 years. Now, we're going to watch as the Canadian women compete for a medal in their team final, but they're going to be in tough against some of the big teams here, Kyle, and the mightiest of them all, of course, the Americans.
The Americans are in a league of their own, Brenda. It's almost like we should just give them the gold medal and then let they're just so strong. They have so much depth, and they have Simone Biles, two-time world champion. They have Gabby Douglas, Olympic champion, Ali Raisman, who's an Olympic champion, Maggie Nichols. They are just so stacked. This American team is going to dominate.
And here is Gabby Douglas, the 2012 Olympic team all-around champion.
She's back, and she looks fabulous here at the World Championships. Double twisting Yurchenko. She is capable of the 2.5 twists. She did it in training at the World Championships here. She's really matured, both mentally and physically. She's gained some height. She's put on some muscle since those 2012 Olympic Games, and I am so impressed. A lot of people questioned her comeback. They thought, oh, this is just a marketing ploy. But you know what? Gabby Douglas is back, and she's looking fantastic.
Now, in the women's competition, we have 4 rotations: vault, beam, uneven bars, and floor. Remember, 3 up, and all 3 scores count, so there'll be no hangers-on, so to speak. Now, from Great Britain, uneven bars, Ruby Harold. Now, the British team qualified in 3rd place, and like the men, looking for Great Britain's first World Championship team medal.
It's been a long time coming, but there's a team not in this final that usually is. Team Romania. They had a disastrous qualification. So the British are looking to capitalize on that. And with unique skills like that, it's called the Zouk hold. The British have a really unique combination of skills. They aren't just doing the stock routines. They're putting in some really interesting elements. They're trend-setting, very aggressive. But Ruby does have a few little leg form issues. Not quite as polished as the Americans, but when the British come out and they're hungry, they can hit amazing routines like that.
Well, they certainly have the crowd behind them here in Glasgow. Ruby has been a reserve gymnast before on many teams, including the 2012 Olympic teams. One would expect, though, Kyle, we will see her once again in Rio.
She has a great shot to be on the team. The British, again, have a problem where they have depth. So they do have a few team members who are coming up, some of the juniors who will be seniors next year who have a chance. But
come on now, nice.
The British have a great shot here.
Let's head back to the vault, and we're going to see the Americans again. And this is Simone Biles, the 2-time all-around world champion. And later this competition, she'll be looking to become the first woman ever to win 3 straight titles.
Yurchenko, 2.5 twists, a walk in the park for her. She should almost have to wear a blindfold when she vaults. It's just way too easy. She gets great height, huge block off of that table, skyrockets. But what I love the most is how directionally she's so centered. She has great leg form, and she's right in the center. Beautiful. 15.966. Wow. That is an astronomical score on the vault.
So the U.S. already racking up the points here, and we're only on the first of 4 rotations. Now our first look at Canadian Ellie Black.
She's the undeniable leader of the Canadian team, and she's been in this position before. She's been in a final at the 2012 Olympic Games. Team Canada was in that team final. She's going to have a very busy week with the all-around and also the balance beam finals. Brenda, she's come so far. Her endurance, her fitness. Unique first pass, 2.5 twists into the double back. Her endurance and her fitness at this World Championships is superb. She's peaking at the right time. Another unique rendition of a last pass. Front full through to a double pike. A great routine for the Canadians.
And Ellie made history at last year's World Championships, finishing 9th in the all-around competition. That was the best ever finish by a Canadian.
And she finishes so high in these competitions because she's getting a name for herself. She's recognized because of unique combinations.
And she qualified 4th to the all-around final. We'll have that for you next weekend in its entirety on Road to the Olympic Games. Now, the Russians, they are on the vault. This is Maria Paseka.
Really has come on strong this year, doing the same vault that we saw from Simone Biles. That is the Yurchenko with the 2.5 twist, called an Aminar, named after Simona Aminar. There's some leg form issues there. The legs are crossed, but she lands in a great position, standing up really tall. 15.6, comparable to Simone Biles' 15.9. That's a great score for the Russians. They'll take it.
Back to the floor now. This is Dutch gymnast Tora Torsdotter.
And this is a breath of fresh air, a very artistic and beautiful routine. The Dutch women last qualified to the Olympic Games in 1976. Being in this team final, they are qualified and they have such a sense of relief. This routine is just exquisite. Slight stumble out of the medal turn there. She racks up all of her difficulty points through the dance. Doesn't have the big tumbling, but wow.
Yeah, her tumbling seems so much quieter than some of the other gymnasts that we've seen here.
Definitely not the high level of difficulty in the tumbling. And interesting, she only has 2 tumbling passes, but she builds her difficulty value through the dance elements. 13.4. The best in the world are going to be scoring around that 15 mark, but you got to appreciate someone who does artistic gymnastics.
Well, the Chinese team qualified 4th to this final, which was a surprise to many. And this is Tan Jai-shin.
This is a young Chinese team. They are missing 2 of their top players, Yao Jinan and Huang Huadin, who are both great bar workers. But this athlete is a contributor. The Chinese work bars like nobody else in the world. They're so aggressive. They hit those perfect handstand positions. China has a struggle with focus sometimes, but today they are looking on their A game.
Well, she's actually China's best vaulter. Used to be a one-trick pony, but has really improved her all-around game, which is important in this team event.
You gotta love it when someone does a double layout and just lands like a lawn dart.
Well, the Americans still hold the lead. Next for them, uneven bars, while the 5th place Canadians head to the vault.
Catch up on the latest by visiting our website and getting the CBC Sports app. News, features, and highlights on the road to the Olympic Games, plus live stream competition. That's cbc.ca/Olympics. Download the app from Google Play or iTunes. A great feature on our website is called Player's Own Voice. This is where the athletes tell their own story. Last week, we featured Patrick Chan. This week, it's Canadian gymnast Ellie Black. And there are so many places to stay connected with Road to the Olympic Games. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join in the conversation. Back to gymnastics now with Brenda and Kyle.
Andy, the Scots love their gymnastics. Big crowd on hand for the World Championships. And after the first of 4 rotations, Americans lead by 1 point over Russia. China second, the Canadians fifth. Remember, they were 7th in qualification. Well, the beam can be a tricky event when the format is 3 up, 3 count. This is Fan Yi Lin, a newcomer to the Chinese senior national team.
China is renowned for their great beam work back in the 1990s. Yang Bo. But these days, the Chinese, because they have such a young team, they don't have the experience. And one of the things that does come into play here at a World Championship in a team final is that mental aspect. When you know you have to hit, sometimes you can get into your mind. The Chinese did a great job on the uneven bars. They're hoping to continue that momentum. Nice front aerial there. Does take a little bit of a check. She wanted to connect those 2 skills, but a good choice from the youngster. Sometimes you don't want to rush. You want to just be patient, settle into your feet, make good choices. Key on balance beam is having all of your body in line with the center. From your belly button to your shoulders, you want to be as square as you possibly can. Nice dismount, the 2.5 twist. A little setback, but you know what, Brenda? That was a really good effort for her. She didn't wobble, she didn't struggle, she made good choices. Good job for her.
Well, the Chinese team has a lot of teenagers on it. We are seeing more maturity in a lot of the big international teams, like the Americans, even like the Canadians, who have players, have gymnasts in their mid-20s.
And maybe it's something we'll see in the future. It seems like Team China sort of follows the trends in terms of things like that. They set the trends on uneven bars, but in terms of the age, that's a trend that is starting to develop.
Now to Russia on uneven bars. This is Victoria Komova.
She's a world champion on uneven bars, but she's been out of competition for a while. We haven't really seen her on the international scene since 2012. She swings bars so beautifully. She's just very polished. She has those exquisitely pointed toes. Nice layout Jaeger. That's a straight body position.
She's been injured the past couple of years. Uh-oh.
Big mistake there. Falls off. That's 1 point off of the execution score. Her and coach are having a talk. What do we do now? Where do we continue? You know, Brenda, if I was to have one criticism about Victoria Komova, she does have the lines and the beautiful form, but sometimes she gives up. She's mentally fragile and delicate. She needs to compete a little bit more to get that mental toughness.
Well, she can be at times a very emotional gymnast.
Unfortunately, the Russians are going to have to count this score, and it could have been a huge one. It could have been a huge score.
And that score at 14 points there.
She's capable of 15 to mid-15.
Now to some Canadian content. This is Sydney Townsend, the 16-year-old from Conestoga, Ontario, who is a member of Revolution Gymnastics, coached by Erin Brookshire and Angela Brookshire. Now on vault.
Her first world championship, and she is handling the pressure so well. A 1.5 twisting Yurchenko really opens up, knows exactly where she is in the air. You know she's training the double at home. Great leg form. Those legs are just glued together, Simone Biles style. Lacking one full twist compared to Simone Biles, but a great effort from Sydney here at her first World Championships. Her coaches should be very proud.
I think they probably are. American here, Maggie Nichols. She will do all 4 apparatus today. Did not compete, though, this event in qualification, but trusted to hit it today.
She is competing all 4 of the events. Very useful. The Americans are strategic when they build their team. They're thinking, who are our top 3 ladies that can contribute those scores? And Maggie, being representative on all 4 events, really bodes well for her chances in the future. Swinging incredible bars here, beautiful form. She's making a strong name for herself. National Director Marta Caroli looks at these gymnasts and wants to know who can hit, who's consistent, who can deal with the pressure. And Maggie Nichols has shown she can.
And we saw her at the Pan Am Games this summer. She was third in the all-around competition and helped the U.S. easily win the team competition.
14.8, good score for the Americans.
Here's Canada's Brittany Rogers, the 22-year-old Calgarian.
Hails from British Columbia, training in Calgary right now with coaches Jenna Ball and David Kenwright at the Calgary Gymnastics Center. So good. She's in the NCAA and has taken time to compete for the Canadian team, and she's learned how to stick those landings and how to have an NCAA amazing reaction.
She looked like a cheerleader there.
What she does is she waits. She's patient. She waits for that landing. Sometimes you surprise yourself.
Yeah, she attends the University of Georgia, competes for the Georgia Gym Dogs. Ellie Black now. Saw her earlier on floor. She got Canada off to a great start.
Her coaches, David Kikuchi and Keiji Yamanaka, have done a great job managing her here to peak. She is a powerhouse. Front handspring, front layout with a full twist, a little bit piked in the hips. Gets a great push off. I love it when these gymnasts fly out of the screen. The cameramen don't even know how high they're going to block off.
And that pushes the Canadian team up into third place. Madison Cochamp on uneven bars, the anchor in this event for the Americans. This is her only routine of the day.
She's a specialist on the uneven bars. The American camp put her on the team for her great skills on this. She did qualify for the apparatus finals. She has a really nice line. She connects these skills back to back. She has exquisite form. She does hail from Woga Gymnastics, home of Nastia Liukin, and I can just see Nastia's style in her bar routine. Very quick, snapping up into all of the handstands, and doesn't get better than that. Full twisting double back. Get a great look here at how quickly she pops into those handstands on the Stalder elements. Hits a nice handstand there before the dismount, connects it directly, and no question, she knows exactly where she is in the air.
The U.S. widens its lead to 3 points over the Russians. Canada moves up into fourth place. Okay, Andy, we're halfway through the women's event, and the Americans already have a 3-point lead. That's pretty big. Now, Kyle, can they be caught with 2 rotations left?
Well, if one of them decides to not finish her routine and jump off halfway through,
okay,
perhaps.
other than that.
No, the Americans are really untouchable at this point, and I think their lead is going to continue. But who I'm going to keep my eye on is the British. They have balance, or they have floor exercise and vault, which are 2 pretty high-scoring events for them. So the Brits are in 5th right now, but they could definitely move up.
Okay, let's not forget about the Canadians. This is Isabella Onishko on uneven bars.
She is Canada's strongest bar worker, has worked so hard to improve her execution and form in this uneven bar routine. Trains at the Brandon Eagles Gymnastics Club. Coach Laurie Henderson has done such a good job preparing her. Isabella is one of those athletes that was recognized and was sent to the Commonwealth Games in 2014 to gain experience for moments like this. And she was such a huge contributor to the Canadian women in the qualification.
That was a big year for her, 2014, competing at the Commonwealth Games, Worlds for the first time. Really quick ascent for a gymnast who just a year earlier was ranked 4th at the Canadian Juniors.
At those meets, she had to make some mistakes, and now she's learned how to hit in competition, and Isabella should be extremely proud of her efforts here in Glasgow.
Well, here's the American superstar, Simone Biles. And she wasn't age eligible for the 2012 Olympics. And since then, won nearly every big competition there has been.
And a rock-solid member of the American team. You can count on Simone to hit. Why Simone has been so dominant is because of her difficulty level. skills like that, the front half, takes one step into it. The rest of the competitors would have to run the whole length of the beam. She has such dynamic, quick power, but what her and Coach Amy Borman have worked on over the past 3 years, Brenda, is her execution. You see those legs are nice and straight. She's rock solid now. She doesn't question herself, and that's why she's unbeatable.
And boy, is she muscular, only 4'11".
Pint size, but she can tumble higher than most of the men. She really does make gymnastics look too easy. She has her dismount, which is coming up. It's a full twisting double back. She's one of few to perform it in the world. And she honestly makes it look like it's a single full twist, but it's not. It's a full twisting double back flip. Getting set up for that dismount right here. Full twisting double back.
Wow.
Just a cakewalk.
Yeah. Well, she is setting herself up to become one of the greatest American gymnasts of all time.
Very difficult spin here. It's a Humphrey spin after Taryn Humphrey from the American team in 2004. She created that skill. And then look at that dismount. It's a full twist and then another flip. She really is in a league of her own and a true leader and contributor to this American team. 15.2, that's the highest score that we'll see on beam, I believe, in this competition.
Now we're going to move to watch the team from Great Britain on floor. This is Claudia Fragapane, and she had a lot of success completing here in Glasgow. She won 4 gold medals in Glasgow a couple of summers ago. The first time an English woman has done that in 84 years.
And she is a spark plug. She earned the nickname the Pocket Rocket at those Commonwealth Games. Keeps it inbounds. She hasn't stopped moving once in this routine. It's such a showstopper, but she has one big pass left. It's a double layout. 2 flips in the straight body position. Not a problem for Claudia Fragapane.
And doesn't this team love competing at home? Great Britain hoping to join the men and win their first World Championship medal here at home. Wouldn't that be something?
This is her dismount. That double layout, so difficult to do at the beginning of your routine, but she does it at the end.
Nearly 15 points, 14.733 momentarily, moves them into first place. Here's China now on floor. They sat in 3rd place after a couple of rotations. This is Wang Yan, 5-time medalist at the Asian Games, won gold on floor.
She is China's best tumbler by far. Opens up with a double twisting double back. Knows exactly where her foot is. Keeps it inside of the boundary line. Wow, 1.5 twist. Through to triple full punch front. Punch front kind of gets you there. Oh, stumbles out of the quadruple turn. Remember, Brenda, and folks at home, it's not just about the tumbling. Those dance elements are just as important. There are two panels of judges. The difficulty judges are evaluating the skills, the content, and then those execution judges are evaluating how well it's done. So far, she's had a couple stumbles in the dance elements, but the tumbling has been great. Next year in Rio, she is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
The Chinese are going to need her to step up and perform at the Summer Olympics, because this team is not performing up to its usual standards here in Glasgow.
14.633.
Now to beam, and the gymnast from Russia, Maria Karenkova, 2014 European beam champion.
Gotta love the Russians on balance beam. They have such a balletic style. The way they hold their chest and their arms, the way their toes point. Oh, and she is on. Wanted to connect those jumps to the skill, but takes a smart break in between. Saves her balance. She is the European champion on the balance beam. Switch split into the back tuck. Nice connection. The balance beam judges are looking for those connections to happen very quickly. Every time the head goes back away from the beam, there is some extra bonus towards that difficulty. Oh. Big fall there on the full turn with the leg up. You have to be so precise. That's 1 point off of her score. The Russians just aren't having the best day here today, Brenda. Finishes off with a double pike. It was going so well until that dreaded full turn.
Russia last won the team title in 2010, but are almost always in the mix for medals, aren't they?
Considered a part of that the big four, the US, Russia, China, and usually Romania. Although Romania sadly isn't here.
Well, here's the last gymnast in rotation number 3. It's Victoria Gamova. And Russia really needs a big score from her right now.
Let's see how she starts things off with her full turn, the leg up. Oh, balance check there. Remember, she did fall on the uneven bars. That could be playing into her mind. She gets great height on all of her jump elements. Questioning herself. She's in her mind, she's in her head. She needs to get into her body. Big Arabian. That's disappointing.
Well, she's been struggling, and seems like when she makes a mistake, she can't just put it out of her head. She carries it forward with her to the next rotation.
Well, that's something that she's going to need to work on, because she can be a huge contributor to this Russian team. She's so elegant. She's so beautiful, and you just hate to see her jump off the beam. I want to see some fight. I want to see some grit. Remember, all of the scores do count towards that team total. They can't drop this one. They need her to be great. That bell sounds 10 seconds to dismount from the beam. Double tuck and a great landing. This is a standing Arabian. It's a half turn into the front tuck. You want to land nice and square, and the shoulders are a little bit off, but quite frankly, she could have fought and she could have saved that. She could have put her foot down and pushed in. She decided to jump off.
One rotation to go. The Americans continue to widen their lead. The Canadians fall to 6th place. Well, today from Glasgow, we're showing you the team final, but coming up, we will have the individual all-around finals featuring Canada's Ellie Black. Well, rotation 1 is in the books. 2 and 3 now. We're down to just 1 set left to go, and that's in the women's team final competition. Gold for the United States, Kyle, a foregone conclusion. But Canada is less than 3 points back of the Russians, who sit in 3rd. Now, could Canada actually catch them?
I think it's a long shot for the Canadians. They are ending on the balance beam. But the team that I've been saying we got to keep an eye on are the British. They're going to be ending on vault. They could really make a surge there. Vault, you're going to score upwards of 15.
So this is the final rotation for the Chinese. Tan Yashin did not make the 2012 team, but is expected to be on the Rio squad next summer. And that Chinese team sitting in 2nd place, about a point ahead of Russia, who's in 3rd.
She does a nice double twisting Yurchenko. Does a good flare out with her arms. The Chinese had a good effort here, Brenda. They are a young team and they were focused. Get to see a nice view here of the arms flaring out before the landing. Great direction. They want to be landing right on that center red line. There's no deduction if you don't, but that's just given the bullseye.
So momentarily, the Chinese lift ahead of the Americans into 1st place. And here is the Americans' best floor worker, Ali Raisman. Struggled in qualification, but is the Olympic champion on this event.
She has a jam-packed first pass, 1.5 throughs, a double front punch front layout. That's where she had problems in the qualification, went out of the area. No problem today. Ali is the Olympic champion on floor exercise, and she has some of the strongest legs in the biz. Look how high this double layout is. After she made her mistakes in the qualification, she was very disappointed in herself and said, I hope Marta Caroli, the national team director, still considers me for that Rio team. And with efforts like this, I think she's back in the good books.
I think she is, and she took the entire year off after the Olympic Games, as did her teammate Gabby Douglas. After those Olympics, she said, you know, I didn't think about any of the medals she won, but the fact that she did not win a medal in the all-around competition. She wants to go back to the Olympics and compete in that all-around final once again, but nothing's guaranteed when you're an American gymnast. You just want to make it back to those games again. Well, do not count the Brits out yet. They have never won a world medal before, but here comes Ellie Downing.
Excellent double twisting Yurchenko. We see a lot of those at the high level of women's gymnastics. She does it well. They are just floating on a cloud with this great British support. You know, there's 12,000 people in the stadium that are mostly cheering for the Brits.
Well, Great Britain sat in 5th place heading into this final rotation, just a couple of points back of Russia, which was in 3rd. And the Russians, as we've seen throughout the day, not performing up to their usual standards.
The British delivered today.
So that score moves the Brits up into 2nd place ahead of the Chinese with 1 routine left to come.
And interestingly enough, the Russians are going to end on the floor exercise. So the British do have an advantage. Floor exercise, you're scoring somewhere in between 14, 14-8, but on vault, you're scoring 15 or upwards for a great double twisting Yurchenko like Ellie Downey did there. Crowd is excited. That score, 15.133, puts the Brits ahead of the Russians. Brenda, history is made here in Glasgow.
And our final routine of the day still to come here.
You know when you pass Russia that you're going to be up on the podium.
This is the final routine. Simone Biles, the Americans we know, will win the title. The only question is by how much?
And how fitting is it that Simone Biles is the final competitor? All eyes in the arena are on her. So this is going to be an exhibition of sorts. Double layout half twist. That is called the Biles. She debuted that skill. Got it named after her. A really fun routine that Simone has developed here. She's a character, Brenda. So much personality. Double for her 3rd pass. Not even out of breath before this final pass. Walks into it, full twisting double back.
And Simone Biles puts the cherry on top of what has been a tremendous day for this American women's team. Easily, we don't have to see the scores, winning another world title.
Coaches Mihai Brescian and Amy Borman have done a great job managing this team on the floor. Simone Biles is pint-sized, but she can fly. Double twisting, double back. Those legs are glued together. She has really focused on the execution and cleaned that up. This American women's team has so much depth. They have a B team and a C team that could come and challenge for a world championship title. They have so many great athletes to choose from. I'm so excited to see how dominant this American team is going to be over the next year.
Well, I think we're going to see the scores come up, and you're going to see just how dominant they were here in Glasgow. And that score, 181, 5 points higher than the Chinese team, who sat in 2nd place. But Great Britain, well, their first ever World Championship team medal. And Canada will move up a spot from qualification to finish in 6th place. And that, Kyle, equals their best ever world result from 1989. Now let's go back to Andy with a CBC Sports Update.